I'm Melanie Hamburger with Catalytic Women, and I'm really thrilled today to be having an expert interview with Pamela Hawley. Pamela is the founder and CEO of UniversalGiving, and they have a very cool model that she's going to tell you all about for both giving and volunteering. And they are also a strategic partner of Catalytic Women, so for me this is the best of all worlds. So I wanted to ask Pamela, thank you Pamela.
Thank you for having me.
I wanted to ask Pamela some questions that will inspire you and give you a little insight into her world. So tell us what opportunities exist in the world of universal giving that are really exciting to you.
You know, we have so many wonderful NGO partners. It's very, very exciting. They all go through this 24-stage quality model where we vet them. So they're all trusted NGO partners that we work with in more than 100 countries across the world. And we have so many that we just really appreciate across many, many diverse areas. But one, for example, is Mercy Corps. And Mercy Corps, for example, works in the crisis in Syria. So that has been a civil war that's been going on for about 4 years. Very, very important that we take action, and they are serving about 2.9 million people, both within Syria and Jordan as well, and that's having to do with water and shelter and all those important resources that we just take for granted on the day to day. So Mercy Corps is important. Another one that's great is Embrace Global, and they focus on baby warmers. So you can come to Universal Giving and donate a baby warmer, and you know, interestingly enough, and I was just on the phone with them today, a lot of their babies are dying because they're not warm enough and they don't have incubators in the hospital. And this is a little portable sack that allows the baby to stay warm and close to the mom and to survive. And so they save thousands of lives by doing this.
That is awesome. We just this week published a post on gender lens investing and giving opportunities, and a baby warmer falls into that category because it really benefits women who are mothers. So I knew about Mercy, but I did not know about that one, so that's really fantastic. And how do you find nonprofits? I mean, there are nearly 2 million in the United States, and how do you decide which ones you will include and which ones you will put through your vigorous process, the 24-step process?
Well, Melanie, it's even more than that in the U.S. because we're international. So since we're international, we're all over the world. So a lot of our NGO partners have volunteer opportunities and giving opportunities, and they're outside the U.S. So we really are dealing with a category of 1 billion NGOs, which is the recent number on NGOs worldwide. So the way we look at that is this 24-stage quality model is we do everything from get recommendations, web searches, we find out where do we need more different issues or topics that we're not covering as much as we would like. We definitely look at crises. We're an expert in the crisis level. So for example, we have key NGO partners that are all over the world that are not Red Cross, that are not United Way, that are ones that are smaller, more nimble organizations on the ground, and we want to get it to those organizations who are really local experts on the ground. So we do an active search, we definitely get a lot of recommendations, and then because of our strong media presence and our track record over the past decade, a lot of NGOs find us. And then that's the process of determining, are they right for universal giving? Can they pass our criterion? If not, then we're going to do whatever we can to help them.
Fantastic. And so that leads into another question that I love to ask our experts, which is, we are passionate at Catalytic Women about accessibility. So the statistics show that philanthropy is driven by people making relatively small donations, but that's not what the media would have you believe. We find that fascinating. So we're all about ordinary earners making a big social impact, whether it's through giving, through investing, the many ways that we can do that with whatever money we have available. So sometimes a big question when you feel like you're giving at smaller levels is, how can I really make an impact? And I feel like your platform offers a good answer to that. So answer that for me.
Definitely. I mean, Universal Giving has all of these different opportunities all across the world. I mean, you can give $20,000 or you can give $5. So we really try to democratize giving so as many people can give small amounts that they want. We literally had a 10-year-old send us a letter from the middle of America to say, you know, I want to give, and gave us allowance money to be able to give to a nonprofit. So we have people on our site who are giving, who are 80 years old, who are giving us $300, people giving us $5. It doesn't matter, because we know that a lot of people, just even that jump start, especially for a small NGO, can make such a difference, especially if there's international. If you look at, you know, $10 here, it can buy a sandwich. If you look at that across the world, in some places it can buy food for free.
So Pamela, I'm really interested in some of the trends that you see. You're reaching such a huge audience of people, really enabling them to have impact with their giving. What do you see in terms of common themes?
You know, it's very, very interesting on the trends, Melanie. I think that, you know, one of the things that we're really seeing is people definitely wanting to take a stronger tack internationally. Microfinance is still very strong. I mean, we're definitely seeing that to be strong and that people want to give, locally on microfinance. Crises are huge. We still see that the crises are happening. But I think one of the other terms that's come to the fore more recently has been slacktivism. Are you familiar with that at all?
I've heard it in a generational context.
Yes, but it actually relates to giving. And what it means is that people are actually lazy about giving. So what does that mean? I mean, rather than going and giving, 4 hours of your time to go serve in a food kitchen, slacktivism giving is something more where you would go and do a Facebook like, or if you like this page, then they will donate, $30 to this NGO. So it's still giving, it's still positive. I'm not really sure I like the term because I think any kind of giving is good giving, and people spending their time on that rather than random web searches or random connections with friends on Facebook, to me, I'm a fan of. But it's more in the sense we definitely know that things have to be shorter. And the other thing that has changed a lot is that a lot of people are changing careers all the time. And so the NGOs know they have to be very, very helpful in providing different, short volunteer opportunities. It can't necessarily be something long-term. You need to provide this kind of micro-volunteering experience that someone can come in and go volunteer for even just an hour, or do it virtually through the internet. And a lot of times the way that we're seeing this translated as well might be through a day of service. So there are these worldwide days of service, like Humanitarian Day, or there's a National Volunteer Day of Service. We're definitely seeing people crowd together around all those issues. But I think the trends are definitely where it's got to be quick, short, and sweet, and you have to be super, super flexible with this workforce that is changing all the time.
And so in terms of volunteering, I'm interested in this theme that you just touched on of short volunteer opportunities, because there's a lot of controversy around that in terms of how much of an impact can you make.
Yes.
So do you see that as an opportunity to make impact, or simply to get your toe in the water and build from there? How do you see the shorter volunteer opportunities playing into a larger need, if you will, for ongoing volunteer or meaningful volunteerism?
Well, I think you're always going to find that, of course, the longer-term volunteer, impact is what's needed and what's preferable. We don't ever want to squelch that. And to be honest, I mean, there are so many organizations out there that are still doing a lot of good long-term volunteer work, and a lot of good volunteers doing that. So we're very, very fortunate that way. Having said that, I think that even the short done-in-a-day projects are really, really great. They're really, really good. And here's why. Because often the volunteer might go back home and they might still volunteer with you virtually, or they might become donors to you. So the people who say, well, I don't want a done-in-the-day volunteer, be careful. You could be turning away a donor. So short-term volunteering can lead to donations, especially with people not having time. They're willing to give more money if they can't give their time. So if that person comes and volunteers an hour for you, take it, because they could volunteer virtually for you, but they could give to you. The other thing that's really key as well too is on the volunteering side is that if they volunteer, their heart is changed, and they're aware of that, and they feel very, very strongly and passionate about that NGO. And so the key on that is that they really care about it. They've got more of a sensitivity to it. When you're changing someone's heart and mindset towards giving in life, that's a huge impact, because it means they'll get more involved in other things in the future.
Right. And fundraising is relationship-based, we know that. So,
Definitely.
all right, it's all part of the relationship.
Yep.
So tell us about a challenge that you're facing at UniversalGiving.
Oh, gosh.
Something that's really difficult to
Well,
follow.
I think one of the hardest things with Universal Giving is one of our greatest assets as a social entrepreneur. We have two services. One is free, that allows you to give and volunteer with vetted volunteer opportunities across the world. We don't take a cut on the donation, so 100% of every donation goes direct to the cause. But so how do we do that? Well, I mean, we fundraise like traditional nonprofits, but we also have a very innovative corporate model where we go into companies and help them with their corporate social responsibility programs. So as we go in there and these companies help us, we help them with their giving, their volunteering. We also help them vet all their NGOs with our 24-stage quality model. They help pay us and give grants to us so that we can do that. So it's very, very positive, but it's a challenge to run two organizations in essence at the same time. It's mission related, it's all the same mission, but they're different. And so I think that's a challenge, and recently we've had a couple of new clients come on board, and they haven't been able to make forecasts on how many NGOs they're going to send us to vet. That's a big deal. That's something very, very hard, because all of a sudden we're like, do we staff up with 15 people or one? So if you don't know how much work you're getting for a certain client, and these are great exemplary clients, that can really throw you off as an organization, because what you're constantly doing is pulling people from here and here and here. The other thing is finding vetted quality organizations on the crisis front. We are on it, we are finding them, but it's a constant challenge for any organization. If you look at one of our partners, Mercy Corps, they've just been able to get into Syria, and it's not easy. It's a civil war that's been going on for 4 years, so to get it in there is extremely important. It's not that easy. Whereas many people say, I want to give, the actual vehicle that's trusted and makes a result, that's what our job is, and that's what we love to do, and it's not so easy to do.
And we know that you always want more donations of individuals giving. Are you also looking for more corporate clients?
Always.
Okay.
You always want that as well, too.
Good.
I mean, I think, both services are great, and we're grateful for both of them. So we'll take more volunteers, more donors, more corporations, and more returnees, which is actually, when you talk about a trend, we are really seeing an upswing in returnees, which are professionals returning to the workplace, wanting to give of their time and to learn a new skill.
Fantastic.
So that's been very, very exciting. So we have a lot of wonderful, wonderful interns that are doing amazing work, but also returnees is a strong swell forward.
So speaking of giving of your time, you've
Yes.
been doing this for quite a while. And You
Yes.
have an amazing track record of success, but what was your journey? How did you get here? How did you become interested in this?
Gosh, Melanie, I had the biggest criticism the other day when I was speaking at the Duke Leadership Forum event, and some people came up to me afterwards and said, oh, you've had it so easy, it's a piece of cake, it's not so easy for me, and I went, whoa, wait a minute. I'm actually writing an article on this right now, but I went through my midlife crisis at age 26, which is, I was, Duke cum laude, my friends were MBAs and doctors and lawyers, and what was Tammy's path? Well, it didn't look too promising. I went from 4 jobs in 4 years. I was out of work for a year. I was making it as a step ropers instructor, a waitress, all of these things, really, really difficult. I wasn't even a good waitress. And basically what happened is that I finally was able to co-found Volunteer Match when the internet came to the fore. But it was a big struggle, and I am so grateful that I went through my midlife crisis early, because every day I wake up loving what I do, and I feel so grateful for that. Then came the challenges of startup mode, then came the challenges of launching right after 9/11. I think a lot of people wanted to give after 9/11. That was not so great, but I knew that people would want to give, and so I had to persevere through a tough 2 years after launching. Worked out of my home, used my own savings, worked off with interns, worked out of coffee cafes to get Universal Giving, because I knew in a couple years' time it would come back, and it did. So every day you face a challenge. The deal is, you keep that private with yourself and your advisors and the board, and you keep your team excited and thriving about what they're doing. And you shoulder that, and you keep moving forward. The more track record you have getting to the tough times, the more you realize, okay, I can do this. Today's another day. We're alive today. We're doing well. Be grateful for it and keep moving forward.
Who says startups have all the fun? See, the nonprofit sector has to deal with it too.
Absolutely. It's no different. It's just not.
So I so appreciate your time, Pamela, and talking with us. Is there any note that you would like to end on?
We're just grateful to be in this industry. Our vision is to create a world where giving and volunteering are a natural part of everyday life. And as one team member who's very dear to me, who helps me with all my PowerPoints, we have this huge slide up that says, look, if it's that important for you to eat one of these huge burgers in In-N-Out, it's that important for you to be able to give $5. So we look at that and think, what is it like in your day-to-day? Can you not give? If you can spend money to go decide where you want to eat, or a lot of the people don't get to decide where they want to eat. If you can decide you want that big burger, then we hope you also decide you want to give $5.
And that is really the message that we love at Catalytic Women, is that each of us can make an impact. So you can find out more about Universal Giving at universalgiving.org, and we will have this interview and some additional resources from Pamela on our blog at catalyticwomen.com/blog. Thanks so much for listening.
Thank you.